Welcome, welcome students, Miss P here, and we're going to look at how to make a budget. In Schoology, you should find this sample budget template, which may or may not have these little notes already written on them in red. Page 1 is what we're going to look at in the video. We're going to do, as an example, someone who's making minimum wage and try to work out their budget per month. On your second page, you are going to put your name here, not my name, your name. And when we talked about careers and you kind of looked up what you were going to be making when you started off your career, you're going to use that salary. So you'll put your career here, whatever it's going to be, and then your average monthly starting pay. And you may need to calculate the monthly pay depending on how it was given to you initially. So if you found a yearly salary, you're going to divide by 12. So for instance, if it told you that you're going to make $60,000 a year, you would take that and divide it by 12 to get your monthly pay. And if instead it gives you an hourly wage, you're going to multiply by 160, assuming you work full-time. So let's go back up to page 1. Just an important note. For this activity, we will ignore taxes and other paycheck deductions. Not that they're not important, and when you do your real budget, you do need to take those into account. It's just that they vary so much that for this example, and just for you to get an idea of how to make a budget, we can't really account for that. There's just too many variables. So we're just going to ignore that for now. So for our minimum wage career, we're, I don't know, a cashier, I guess, somewhere. Now, a cashier, if we're making minimum wage, we're going to get making $7.25 an hour for minimum wage. And I want to multiply that by 160, so that's 40 hours a week, about 4 weeks per month. So times 160, 1160 per month. Now, you don't need to change your text color if you don't want to. I'm just kind of hoping it'll make it easier for you to see what we're doing. Okay, so for most people, their housing cost, which is their rent or their mortgage, is going to be the biggest single thing that they pay for. So if you're starting out, you're most likely going to rent. However, your housing costs really should not be more than a third of your total budget. That's kind of that's kind of the rule of thumb of what to aim for. So a third of 1166, so take 1160, divide it by 3, that'll give you a third. And you're going to do that too when you do your budget. Take your monthly pay, divide it by 3, and see what you get. And that gives me roughly $386.67. Now, if you want, I'm going to round this up to $387. Feel free to round things up to the nearest dollar. That is totally fine, as long as you don't go over budget at the end. So here's the thing. Unless you're on some sort of housing assistance, you're not going to get an apartment this cheap on your own. If this is your budget for housing, you either should be living at home and saving that money so that you can move out one day, or you're going to need some roommates. So, I need roommates. Okay, that's down, that's good. Car payments. This is just FYI, I don't think this person making minimum wage needs to have a car payment. I hope they got a beater to drive already. Or even better than a beater, because look at this average. $554 per month is the average car payment for a new car. Now for a used car, it's going to be less than that, but that is still crazy. Anyway, that's just for your information. We're going to pretend I have a car and it runs. Car insurance, though, you got to pay for. So the state average for a 25-year-old with minimum liability coverage is $50. It was a little harder to find for teenagers or for younger people because a lot of them are still on their parents' insurance, because that does bring the cost down. Let's go ahead and go with $50. There's, just like these paycheck deductions, there are so many things that can change what you pay for car insurance. And we're going to talk about that later in the year. Now, gas for your car. Again, this is going to vary quite a bit. How much do you drive? What kind of car is it? Is it fuel efficient? I don't know. A lot of you drive already. If you already drive, then you probably know how much you spend per month on gas. Go ahead and put that amount in. Feel free to ask your parents how much they spend if they're willing to tell you that, and put that number in there. I'm going to put $50 again. Okay. Healthcare. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay, this can vary a ton. We're gonna pretend that our minimum wage worker is in good health and maybe only pays for one prescription per month, or maybe they only have their health insurance premium. And by the way, that is usually a paycheck deduction, so it's already going to be accounted for. But again, we're ignoring paycheck deduction, so let's go ahead and take that into account. Let's say our individual has a $100 insurance premium per month, and they're in good health, so they don't really pay much else. When you do your budget, you really should take into account how much you spend or how much medicine you take. Electricity. Now some houses have a gas connection in addition to electricity. Some houses are all electric. It just depends. And the average in Texas for this bill is $140. Now, if you are living in an apartment with roommates, you probably won't be paying that much. Your whole apartment, that's been a long time since I lived in an apartment, but it was not anywhere near that much. Let's say you have a couple of roommates and you're paying, once you split it up, you're paying $30 a month. Maybe it's not a very efficient apartment. Same with water. In an apartment, it's not going to cost that much unless somebody's wasting water. In a house with a really huge yard, it could be $100, $200 and up from there, depending on the size of the yard. And if you have sprinklers and blah, 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 all that stuff. So let's say for our example here, we've got again, we've got our roommates, and maybe we're paying $10. Some apartments will include these bills in the rent too. Cell phone, you can get some unlimited plans these days for $45, so let's just go with that. Home internet, cable, etc. We've got some prices here for you. Internet only from Grande is about $60. I think it's like $57, something like that. A triple play package with all three is $150 plus, depending what you chose. It can get pretty expensive. You are splitting this up with roommates, whereas your cell phone you probably are not. So, you know what, let's come back to that. We may run out of money. Let's hold off on that. Groceries. US average for one person is this much per month. So let's go in the middle of that. Let's go like $200 per month. Maybe you'll be able to save some money, especially once you get used to it. Learn how to use coupons and learn where the deals are, things like that. Okay, clothing. Now, you're not going to buy clothing every month, but you need to set some money aside for when your shoes wear out, or for when you stain your favorite shirt and you can't wear it to work anymore, or whatever. So maybe let's set aside just a little bit, because we have a lot of money here. Now, this we should have already talked about in class. You want to have enough money here, so if you have an emergency car repair, let's say, or you break your leg and you have a surprise medical bill, or even just you lose your job, which unfortunately happened to a lot of people recently, and you need to be able to pay for your bills in the meantime. That's what the emergency fund is for. You want it to have, I think they used to recommend like 3 months of expenses. Now I think the recommendation is about 6 months of expenses. So you may want to write your goal here. Let's say our goal is to have, goals $2,500. Now, that's more than you make in a month, clearly. So you're not going to be able to save all that at once. You just want to get there as soon as you can. So let's say I'm going to start saving $100 a month. Now notice we haven't added all this up yet. We may be already over budget here. Let's see. I'm going to save $100 per month, at least until I reach my goal. And then retirement. Now this we will not have talked about yet in class for sure. This is going to come later. But retirement savings is so important to start as soon as you can. You might think that at 17 years old, or however old you are, that you don't need to think about it yet. But There are so many people out there that don't start saving until they turn 50, and then they can't retire when they turn 67 or 68 because they don't have any money and they have to keep working. Start as soon as you can. As soon as you start making money, start setting some aside. We'll talk about what kind of retirement plans there are and what kind of options you have, but start with something, even if it's $10 a month, even if it's $50 a month, whatever. Start as soon as you can. Let's see if we can start at $50 a month. And then we'll add this up. And then just say what else, add other categories you might want or need. So if you like to work out and you want a gym membership, put that in your budget. If you're an artist and you buy lots of canvases and paints and things like that, those get expensive. Put it in your budget. Maybe you like to play video games and you like to, there's some pretty awesome games coming up. You want a budget for those. Put those in your budget. Yeah, okay, so let's see where we are now before we do any of that for this person. So I'm going to add up all these things in blue off to the side here, and then let's see how much that comes to. And I am currently at 1032. So I'm kind of surprised I actually have money left. Now, some things to keep in mind. Again, if you're actually making minimum wage, you are not going to get $11.60 per month to spend, because they're going to take taxes out and they're going to take out Social Security and they might take out your health plan and whatever. So we may have already gone over budget here in reality. But again, since we're ignoring that, we have a little bit of money to play with. So we got rent taken care of. Hopefully we have some decent roommates. And that's how much we're spending. You may want to set aside, let's see, car insurance, gas, healthcare, electricity. I think those are okay. So we have, much left. So take your total, $11.60, subtract how much you spent so far, and that is $128. That's not a dollar sign. So we still have $128 to put somewhere. Don't leave that money unaccounted for. Do something with it. That doesn't mean spend it. That means plan where it's going to go. And if I were you, I would put this whole thing in the emergency fund. Because you know what? Or maybe home internet and then put some in the emergency fund. I can see, especially with all the work from home things going on and whatever, home internet's important to have. So if you are sharing with roommates and you're kind of sharing the bill together, and you get like this internet only package from Grande, something like that, maybe you're paying, I don't know how many roommates we have, maybe you're paying 15, maybe there's 4 of you live in the same place. Okay, so that means now I am at 1047, change this to, which gives me 113 left. Okay, but remember, it's not really left. See this? By the way, if you have something that you're going to be sharing with roommates, please note that on your budget so that your teacher doesn't think you're actually going to get internet for $15 a month. Although if you know where you can get home internet for $15 a month, please share. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to take this $113 and add it to my emergency fund. So that means my emergency fund is going to be $213 a month. And hopefully I can get to my goal faster and I have money if I have an emergency car repair or something like that. And then by then you should have nothing left. That is what a zero-based budget means, guys. You need to have nothing left unaccounted for. Again, that doesn't mean spent. You don't have to spend every dime. You just have to account for every dime. So you should have 0 unaccounted for at the end of this. And then when you think you've got something you can live with, you can go ahead and submit. On the second page, that is, you can go ahead and submit it. Okay, so look over this. Look over the little notes that we took over what things might cost. Talk to your parents about what they spend if they're willing to share that information with you. and then go ahead and do your budget for your future career. And just keep in mind that your real paycheck will have deductions taken from it, and your paycheck will be smaller than it looks here. And isn't that a happy thought? Well, let us know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching.